Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
Where Off the Cuff meets with a plan. The audience of one show on Conroe's 106.1 and 104.5 FM, streaming on irlonestar.com and available wherever you get your podcasts from. I am Andrew, riding shotgun next to the guy who learned to ride a bike without training wheels. It's Dick. Houston is in Amsterdam. Schisler.
It's a true story.
It really is. I'm so amazed by you sometimes.
I'm amazed.
For multiple reasons.
I amaze myself every day.
That is pretty, I mean, look, if you're going to have a flex on other kids, riding a bike without training wheels right from the start is definitely one of them. I would agree with that, man.
Well, it was a little harder, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those things that, like, no one really thought about because my brothers taught me.
Yeah.
And they don't think, they're 5 to 10 years older than me.
He'll figure
and
it
I have
out.
3 older brothers, and they're just like, yeah, you need to learn how to bike. But that is how it was growing up.
Yeah, man.
Older brothers, especially, like, guns and stuff, I was like, that was the first thing they taught me is how to shoot a gun.
Dance, boy. They shoot at you? Yeah. Well, did you have a happy eclipse? Is it happy eclipse or is it merry eclipse?
I think it's who cares? See you in 2044 or whatever. Or whenever the next eclipse is.
I believe I wrote it down. It's 2317. So if you miss this one, you're probably not going to see the next one. I hate to break it to you. Yeah, maybe it's Jolly eclipse. I don't know. Wasn't much of an event here, though. As it turns out, we had rain and clouds, and really, it just kind of got a little dark, and then it was over. So I didn't do much. I think it did ruin a lot of people's eclipse plans, unfortunately.
Well, it's funny. We've been talking about it, and we had the Remnant Sioux shout-out, folks. I didn't realize how many people really care about it, because on social media, everybody I had was posting stuff, and I was like, so did you just take off work? Are you cool with that? Is it a smoke break? Is that what's considered? So
yeah, there were a lot of companies that were giving their employees, 15-minute break or whatever in the middle of the day, half hour, whatever, to go outside and view it. Because yes, Dick, I know it seems like it happens every other year, some celestial event like this, but this one in particular, not going to happen again for 300 years.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, man.
Do you think there's a cult that committed suicide?
Oh, you know it. Or Purge or something. I did see a giraffe running wildly along the side of the road on the way here. Didn't get a chance to clothesline it, but animals acting really weird.
That's funny. Did you have a good weekend, though?
I didn't really do much, I don't think. Again, just more, it's that time of year where it's spring cleaning, yard work, planting plants, yard work kind of stuff. So there really wasn't a lot
Well, it's going to be good thing you got it
man.
over with. It's going to be raining for like 3 days here.
Yeah, exactly. And I did know that was coming, so I wanted to make sure that I got a lot of that done before the rain moved in. Exciting stuff.
Good deal, man. Yeah, I went to Houston to see my grandmother. I haven't seen her in a long time, and so that was nice. Mm-hmm. And I forgot how busy Houston was.
It's a busy place.
Because I took Hillcroft all the way to her place, and that was about a 20-minute drive down Hillcroft. And I don't suggest anyone going down Hillcroft. It's a zoo. It's crazy. It's crazy town. So what I did like, though, was I got the first car wash in the new truck because the pollen's getting pretty bad, and I wanted to impress my grandmother, and I was like, I got to clean this thing. So I clean it, and I literally turn right out of the car wash, go 2 lights down Hillcroft, and there's a guy squeegeeing front windshields.
Oh, man.
And I was like, please do not talk to me. I literally just
he's going to make it worse.
Cleaned my car. And what's funny is he walked up towards my car, looked at the windshield, and he just like,
oh, wow.
He gave me the okay symbol.
Like, okay, you're free to go,
sir. You're good.
That is that's hilarious.
It was pretty funny.
I have actually had somebody do that, like a homeless person or something, and they're looking for change, and the rag they used was so dirty. All they did was just smear like grease and stuff on my front windshield. Like, it was perfectly fine before. Thanks a lot.
So I got to figure out this pollen thing.
Were you cleaning the guy's muffler in front of you or in front of me? What the heck?
But yeah, other than that, it was great, man. I went out and danced.
You went out this weekend, did you? Interesting.
It's kind of one of my things I've been doing where I'm single
Yeah, you are.
and I get to do whatever I want. And so I was just like, as long as I have a safe place to stay, I'm good. And like, you got to cover the basics. And I had one, so I was like, I'm going to go do me.
All right.
See you later, sister.
And how was your experience?
It was wonderful.
Yeah? Did
Wonderful.
you meet someone special? A lady, perhaps?
I met a lot of people.
Really? Okay.
A lot of special people.
That's very vague.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like you're dancing around something here.
Well, I was dancing. But no, it was great. But yeah, definitely going back. So it was.
Okay. I feel like there's something else you're wanting to say.
We could talk about it, but it's kind of I don't want to put my foot in my mouth.
Okay.
and
All right, then
so
we won't. We won't.
You never know who listens.
I feel like there's something else here, but we'll just leave it to the imagination of the onesie.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're putting yourself out there, throwing it out.
That's
cutting
pretty
a,
much, yeah.
Cutting a rug. That's not. I didn't take you as a dancer.
Oh,
To be
yeah.
honest with you.
It's
what
all
type
about,
of music are we talking about
it's
here?
80s, man.
So you jammed
Depeche
to the 80s.
Mode, all that kind of stuff.
Depeche Mode, huh?
Depeche Mode
There
or
you
whatever.
go.
I like to call them Depeche. But yeah, like that kind of stuff. I love that kind of music.
Yeah, the 80s has a lot of electronic dance grooves to it. I could see how you could dance to that stuff, I guess. I'm sure you were completely sober, too, so that...
Oh, yeah. I
yeah,
actually
absolutely.
went to the moon to check on, make sure it was ready for the eclipse, and then I came back.
I bet.
So it was great.
Do you think, like, the moon people are, like, weirded out because it's really bright for them during this event?
Yeah.
It's like
they
the exact
That's
opposite?
the only year they get a tan.
Right.
Right.
Or it would have been really funny, too, if, like, whoever calculates these things, NASA or whatever, has to come out and issue a statement. Sorry, we screwed up. We forgot to carry the one. It's actually in, like, 25 years from now.
Oh.
Everybody made all these travel plans. Yeah, sorry. It's that darn Common Core math. We screwed it up.
I'd be afraid if I went back to school. Just be like, what is happening? But yeah, it was a great time. I recommend anyone who wants to go out and have fun, Barbarella's is the place to go.
Okay, shout out to Barbarella's.
Yeah.
You said it was in a kind of an interesting place in town, though, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Just be careful out there, guys.
Okay. Again, feel like there's something else you're wanting to tell me.
I mean, I saw a guy playing. I saw a group of people playing dice, so I knew I was like, either you play with them or you get out of here because
Yeah,
it's
I
illegal.
don't think you'd want to join a random guys in the middle of the night
I would.
shooting dice.
So you know what my favorite?
Those stories don't tend to end well.
You know what my favorite random night story was? Is I used to live right there by Washington Street in Houston,
Okay.
and there's a train track that goes across TC Jester and all that kind of stuff. Well, I walk everywhere down there, and one night I was walking back, and I heard a chicken by the railroad track, and I was like, that can't be good.
I must go and inspect.
And I did, and this guy comes out, really nice guy, and I was like, hey, your chicken's out. And he's like, oh, thank you, and he like takes the chicken, puts it up, and I'm like, what are you doing with chickens over here? That's kind of strange. And he started talking, he wink, wink, fights them.
Oh, I didn't know that's where this was going.
Oh, and I was like, well, now I got to talk to this guy. So I was talking to him, and I was like, you got to show me your chickens, man. You got to show me what you're talking
You're
about.
kidding me.
I'm not kidding
And
you.
this guy felt comfortable enough to show you his...
Oh, yeah. I'm just some
his
random dude walking
chickens.
through the neighborhood. And he brings out a giant, like, bird. And I was like, can you show me what we do here? And he, like, throws it up in the air. Giant talons.
Oh, yeah, they're vicious
it was
looking.
awesome. And I was like, finally, my bucket list item of illegal activities is to watch a chicken fight or a cockfight.
Man, I wouldn't want to watch that.
I
That seems brutal. That and dogfighting, no thanks.
See, I do draw the line at dogfight. I would not want to watch that, but like a cockfight would be awesome. Like just in bad, like it's almost like, especially when you watch something like Bloodsport, I'm like, I'd watch that. I'd go watch these dudes hit each other.
I think you say that in theory, but if
No,
you were to
I would
actually
love
see
it.
it in person, I don't
I
know,
would
man.
love it. And this guy was really nice. And then even the creepiest thing, I go, how do you get away with this? He goes back inside to get it. He's like, I'm gonna get some beers. I was like, okay. And he comes
You
back.
drank beer with this guy,
Oh,
too?
yeah, I hung out with him for like my brother.
This was in the middle of the night.
Oh yeah, like
down by the
midnight.
train tracks
No,
in Houston.
I like to watch the trains, so I lived right
Oh my
by. So when
God.
I knew when the train would come, I would sit out there and just like hang out by the train.
What are you, 4? Hey, look, choo-choo train.
Yes, I'd like trains. Sorry, but what was great about it though, he comes out with a full HPD outfit, and I was like, "You're a police officer?"
Oh, this is how he gets away with it.
And he's like, "No, it's just my cousins. it's his old uniform, but he looks legit. And I was sitting there going like, that's kind of
because
scary.
it probably was a real one at one point.
Yeah, and I met his kids. We fed the chickens, and then my brother calls me. He's like, "Hey, where are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm on this street, literally parallel to our street." And I was like, he's walking back. He's like, "Well, I'll come with you." I'm like, "Okay." He comes up on me, and I'm by the train. He's like, "You're watching trains again?" I'm like, "Yep." And he's like, who are these people? I'm like, "I don't know. I'm just talking to him." And then there's all the chickens. And I was like, "Dude, you got to check out this bird." And then my brother puts it together. He's like, "Richard, we got to get out of here." I'm like, "No, we're good. He's a neighbor, technically."
And look, he's got a uniform. It's,
Yeah, like
it's fine.
Technically, he's a neighbor. Yeah, he really was.
Well, yeah, in theory, yeah.
So I was like,
by
I'm getting
the
to know,
definition of neighbor, I suppose.
I'm getting to know my neighbors. Okay. And that was my favorite random night. Like I was
Wow.
because I was so close. I was like, oh man, that bucket list item, that's gonna be hard to get to. Like that's really hard to do. And like finding a cockfight like that, because you can't just go out and find it.
It almost found you.
It almost did.
Yeah.
Almost did.
That is crazy, Dick.
But that's a true story, though. I promise
Thank
you.
you
That's
for
a true
that.
Story.
I didn't know that's where we were going. But
You
I'm
don't like-
certainly glad that we got there,
I'm definitely one of those guys who does the random encounters. Like I love
so to speak.
Yeah, I'm like, what's this all about? Oh, that's cool. Especially when trains are involved.
Didn't realize you were into locomotion.
Well, it's just one of those things when you live by a train, you're like, might as well embrace it.
Yeah, you would have to.
So
I would think most people would be completely annoyed by it after a certain length
I
of time.
dig it.
Yeah, do you ever put a penny underneath it?
No, for some reason I always
tracks.
thought that like it's bad.
Yeah, the theory is it's going to like derail the entire train, which
So
I don't know that that's
I
actually
mean, I
possible.
doubt it, but it's also not probably good for
Probably not.
anything like that.
Yeah,
so.
I wouldn't recommend it. Just go back to the
And
guy
when I-
drinking beer and fighting chickens.
Well, I wasn't like on the train tracks.
I didn't think
I
that you
don't-
were.
I don't do
I wasn't
that.
picturing you
I
like
just-
sitting cross-legged.
I'm just like right
On the
by
tracks.
the road, and I'm like, this is great.
I feel the clickety-clack coming. I better move. I wasn't
Yeah.
thinking you were that. I make you out like Lenny from Mice and Men.
And I will say that I am that guy that when the train crossing begins, I'm like, oh yeah, we get to watch a train. I'm like, I remember being in the car with my buddy. He's like, oh, we gotta wait. I'm like, that's cool, dude. Let's watch it.
You're so simple. So simple. Okay, man. Well, let's go ahead and get this show started. Thank you for that. Dick,
Yeah.
do you remember the phone numbers that we would call to get like movie times?
Yeah.
Were you old enough to
Yeah.
remember that? Mm-hmm. It's kind of crazy to think that just in our lifetime, there were phone numbers that we would call for things.
No, what I love on
like
top
that.
on top of that is like when you go to friends' houses when you're younger, or you go to like your friends' parents' houses today. There's always those parents that have like the post-it note or like
Mm-hmm.
the note that's on the fridge that has all the emergency contacts.
Right?
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
And then,
yeah.
And then there's, you know how awesome they are because they haven't changed the piece of paper for that long.
And
where
it's
it says-
yellowed.
It says movie phone.
Oh, yeah.
And so they have the movie phone number still on there. And, you know, Cindy used to do the voice.
Cindy Cochran, the great Cindy
Yeah.
Cochran. Wow. She used
She
to do the voice for Movie
yeah.
Phone.
And I used it all the time in Galveston because when they opened up that theater in Galveston,
Yeah, I did too.
that was the only way to know because it was like
Mm-hmm.
a small theater. You could call them, but then they had the automated thing. So
Yeah, I remember there was a number. It was called Time and Temperature. Guess what it gave you when you called it?
time and temperature.
Yeah, and I, as a kid, would call that thing to find out what time it was. How weird is that?
Because you like being told.
Or, yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Or, I guess getting ready for school or whatever, I needed to know how cold it was. And I cannot believe that we live in a time, or we did live in a time where that was such a thing. Well, it got me also thinking about this. Are you familiar with the Apology Project? Speaking of these numbers
Is this
that
like
you would
a white
call.
guilt thing.
It not necessarily wide, but
I'm just kidding.
the Apology Project was a 1980 conceptual art project created by Alan Bridge, who employed the pseudonym Mr. Apology. Now get this is kind of wild, but Bridge invited callers to, quote, apologize their wrongs against people without jeopardizing themselves, and promoted the service by sticking up posters in the area of New York, Tribeca, New York. This is pretty crazy. So I guess the idea here is if you've done something wrong and you want to get it off your chest,
I mean, it's
you
kind of
could just call this number and confess your sins.
see that's kind of a genius move if you're a writer.
Yeah, you get all kinds of ideas.
That's kind of genius. I like
Yeah.
that. Maybe I should do something like. I'm not a writer, but I'll be like, I want to hear some crazy things.
Yeah, you'd probably have to put it out on social now, But the thing is, it's not. Well, I guess it still is anonymous to a certain degree. But the line
Well,
was,
they have that today. You know that, right?
or you can just
No,
confess.
like there's a couple of Twitch streamers. Like they keep it all anonymous.
Anonymous? Yeah.
And it's just like there's one guy dresses up like a frog. Have you ever seen that?
Of course he does.
Like looks.
No, I haven't seen that, but it
straight
does
up like
not-
a frog.
Does not surprise me.
And he has random people calling with their problems or like a funny story or
Yeah, I bet you get all kinds of material. Well, this is interesting. The concept here was his phone line was based in his Manhattan loft and used an answering machine, of course, to record the confessions from anonymous callers. Over the 15 years
Oh,
that the
wow.
line was in operation, more than 1,000 hours of confessions were recorded, with callers confessing everything from infidelity, shoplifting, drug dealing, to ritualistic murder.
yeah, I like it.
Dude, that is crazy. So obviously, as one might do when you have all this stuff, he published a book called Apology. Yeah. Actually, it says some of the confessions were published in his magazine
That's
called
good.
Apology, not a book. But yeah, man, kind of crazy. So anyways, it says the project came to an abrupt stop in 1995 when Bridge was struck and killed by a jet skier while diving in heavily trafficked inlet in Long Island. The incident was witnessed by 2 people on the shoreline. However, the culprit was never found. Now, how ironic would it be if he ends up calling his apology line? I ran over this guy
That was me.
with a jet ski. I feel really bad about it too, but I just took off. How weird is that, though? He
I
ends
thought
up
it was
dying.
just a wave.
Yeah, kind of weird. So that was the end of it. But they say now that the phone number, which is 212-255-2748, now belongs to the Payphone Project. And I looked up the Payphone Project, and I'm not entirely sure what it is. It looks like it's just pictures of random payphones across the world that are still operable, I guess.
Okay.
I guess. But they bought up the number. Why, I don't know. It says the calls are routed to the Payphone radio stream. Again, very vague. Don't know what that is. But
I like it.
Crazy
But I remember
stuff,
that,
right?
That was a great time calling the movie phone line because you had to wait, especially if it was all alphabetical order, so the movie would started with like S.
yeah, you have to wait through all the other
Yeah.
stuff. Oh, my gosh. Yep, I remember it. You know, last week we talked about things that we could do when we were younger that probably wouldn't go over so well now. And one of them was skateboarding. Couldn't imagine trying to get up on a skateboard.
Yeah.
Because I used to be okay at skateboarding. But after the show, it got me thinking about other things that I used to do when I was younger that I didn't even think twice about. That if I attempted them now, would not turn out so good. So I made a little list here. Maybe you can add to it. But number 1, I think, is any track and field event, but mostly long jump. Can you imagine taking off sprinting full speed and then just jumping right now? But
Yeah.
it's something I did
Yeah.
without even thinking about it. That sounds absolutely horrific now. Did you used to participate in track and field?
No. I tore my ACL in 8th grade.
Okay. All right, but you could
MCL, ACL.
like track. Did you ever have the like the field days at school?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine participating in one of those now either. I think we've talked about those before.
I mean, I'm still somewhat active.
Yeah, I'm active.
I used
too,
to play
but
soccer. I used to play soccer till like 5 years ago. Then one guy twisted his knee in front of me, and I was like, "Oh, that's what happened to me. I don't want that to happen again."
Yep. Number 2 is any sport that requires great eye-hand coordination, such as ping pong. Now, I was never really good at ping pong,
Don't you?
but I was okay.
Don't you play pickleball?
Yeah, but I'm not very good at it.
That's sad.
I'm not very good. But the thing is, I used to play ping pong, and I'd win probably 50-60% of the time. The people I played against in college, I played ping pong on New Year's Eve against the neighbors, and I couldn't beat anybody. I
Well,
got my ass
I-
kicked all over the place.
Well,
what has happened?
Well, that was ping pong.
It's not like these guys are
reminds
really
me-
good.
That reminds me of those kind of sports that when people get really good at it, you're kind of like, "What are you doing?" Kind of like bowling.
Yeah, there's one.
Like if you're really good,
What are you doing?
you're kind of like, "What are you doing?" And then my favorite is we have a mutual friend. He is really good at foosball, and it's weird.
Yeah,
Like
man.
not just like, "Oh hey, yeah," but I'm talking like he played in tournaments. And
Yeah.
I was sitting there going, "That's
So I think I've talked about this on air before, but I can't remember. So if I have, I apologize, but I'm going to tell it again. I didn't know that you could actually be good at foosball.
oh yeah."
I literally thought it was something you just spun things in
Nope.
circles or whatever, right? Had no idea until I met somebody who was really, really
Yeah.
good. And like he would tape up his wrists and put all this stuff off on his forearms because they would use their forearms to roll those things. They're passing the ball back and forth. I'm like,
you know who I'm
oh,
talking about.
this is a thing.
You know who I'm talking about. A big guy.
Okay.
He's a big guy. He has a
Okay.
gray beard. And
Kind of narrows it down.
so we're playing, and he gets mad at me for taking my hand off the
Yeah.
what do they call it? What do they call it? Just the throttle?
You're asking me.
I don't know what they call it.
Paddle, the handle,
Yeah.
the foos.
And I look
handle.
at him and I go, "Hey, buddy, we're playing for fun. I can do whatever I want."
Right.
And he's like, "Well, I'm not playing with you if you do it that way." I'm like, "Are you really serious right
Well,
now?"
then
Like,
walk off.
yeah, I win. Yeah, you forfeited. But yeah, that's what's kind of fun. Like at darts, people who are good at darts, I always love that because I like playing darts. Like I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm terrible
But then
at
when
that
you
too.
meet, well, I'm terrible too.
Yeah.
But it's then when you meet somebody who's just so good at it, you're like, what on earth?
Yeah.
Like my favorite is the
There's
bat.
just, I feel like there's a story here.
Well, no, there's a lot of dart stories. Yeah.
No, as to the reason why they got so good.
Yeah. And then there's also what's that beanbag cornhole?
Oh yeah.
People are really good at
Yeah.
cornhole.
I'm okay at that.
Yeah, but I mean, when people are really good,
Yeah.
it's not fun.
No.
because it's a real short game.
Yeah, it is. Number 3 here, basic math. And I'm not even talking like algebra, man. I'm talking like adding and subtracting fractions, things that you used to do in the 6th grade all the
yeah.
time. If somebody were to put that in front of me now, it ain't going to turn out so well. And the last one here is repeating a series of numbers that was just read to me. So if someone says, yeah, my phone number is 88747, I go, hold on, 8874. I have to think about it. Whereas before when you were younger, you could you absorbed it. So those are some things that I wrote down that I used to do really well that not so much anymore.
Okay.
Not so much anymore.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess you just don't do anything. You just work in the yard.
Yeah, that's my problem. So I booked a trip to Las Vegas for this summer. I'll be going to Las Vegas, and it got me to
for
thinking.
bowling?
Yeah, it's a bowling trip, but
Yeah.
it got me to thinking how long I have been going to Las Vegas for, and it's been almost 25 years now since the
You
first
go every
time I
year or
went.
something?
No, but there was a time where I was going every year or multiple times a year. And it is crazy to think. I think the first time I went was 1999, and that was really right at the cusp of when Las Vegas was starting to kind of change its image into what it is now. There were still some of those old school casinos
I've
like
only been like one time.
Westward Ho and the Stardust, some of those old ones now that no longer exist. And of course, they've knocked them down and they built like the Aria or the Cosmopolitan. So I feel fortunate that I got to see some of that old
Okay. When you
Vegas.
say old, just mean a building, or is it more of like how you play the games?
No, it's not how you play the games. It's the entire Vegas experience. I mean, it was cheap. You could still go and get like $5.99 buffets, $1.99 strip steaks. That's the stuff that you used to hear about in Vegas that would draw people out.
yeah.
Now it's extremely expensive. It's just like any other
everything
place.
is.
Yeah, it's not nearly like it used to be. But one of the things that I noticed last time I was there, in fact, I'm wearing an NBA Summer League shirt that the last time I was there in 2022, where these men have these little flyers. They're like little pieces of paper when you're walking the strip, and they're advertising Women of the Night. And they smack these things and they hand them to you, and they've got a phone number on there advertising a prostitute. Well,
Okay.
these
So
things
you-
end up all over the ground. I mean,
okay.
it's just trashed the entire street. Well, the last time I was there, I noticed that those cards weren't around. And I wondered if there was some sort of city ordinance that had been passed to make this illegal, and I couldn't find anything. So I don't know if maybe they were just taking a break. But it got me to thinking about those cards. You know, I've never called one. I'm just going to be straight. I don't even know anyone who ever has. But it did get me thinking about that process.
I think I want to get one of them because I'll call them and be like, "Hey, do you know where any cockfights are?"
Now, you might find a different kind of cockfight if you call that number, sir.
I like it.
But it got me wondering, because it is legal in certain counties in Nevada, if you were to call this number and request a certain lady and she shows up and it's not what you requested, can you return it? Can you take...
Return it?
Yeah, can you like say no? Can you say no, thank you, this is not what I ordered?
Depends what the pimp says, right?
I
Isn't
don't
that, like,
know.
literally the pimp's job?
I guess. Do they show up with a pimp? I don't know. I mean, it's
That'd be awesome.
I mean, do you get a receipt with it? Right? I mean, I don't know. Is it a normal transaction?
New Vegas, yeah, because it's got to be a write-off.
It's called digital, I guess. I don't know. You pay with PayPal
You're
or
asking
something?
the wrong person. You know that, right?
I don't, yeah. Well, I'm not necessarily asking as much as I'm just describing the scenario. But I guess what I'm asking is if you order a hooker and it's not what you want, can you take it back? Look, there, I said it, okay?
I mean, I guess. I don't. I mean, I feel like you gotta commit. You're already doing something weird.
This is not what I ordered. I'm sorry.
I mean, it happens all the time. I bet actually.
I bet it does.
Because dudes are wimps, man. They're like regret. They're filled with regret when they make those kind of decisions.
Yeah, I bet I would be as well.
That's why I spend my time watching trains.
Well, here's something else you might want to spend your time watching, Dick. I put this in the run sheet for you, but have you seen the new Bambi the Reckoning movie? And this seems like a movie that is right up your alley. But basically, this is from that series of horror films from the Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Now that all of these old characters are no longer copyrighted, they can make movies out of them. Well, Bambi is now the newest victim to fall into this, and Bambi the Reckoning is due to come out, I think, sometime this year in 2024. It looks so bad.
Well, yeah, those are great. There's always a market for that kind of stuff.
I love it, though. It says the eerie teaser, and I don't know if you want to play the teaser or not, or at least show the picture of Bambi. The eerie teaser is composed of just two scenes. The first follows two hunters, one of whom asks, "You ever shot a deer?" before revealing that one time he has, implying that he may have been the hunter who famously shot Bambi's mother. And if you think about it, Bambi, of a lot of those characters, does have a reason to be really pissed off and seek revenge, more so than like Winnie the Pooh or something like that. I mean, my gosh, the deer grew up without its parents. So is this a movie that you're interested in seeing, Dick?
Well, it's probably going to happen.
You're going to see it, is what you're saying.
Well, I mean, there's certain movies out there that if I see it, I go, that's awesome. I'll watch that.
This looks like it's something you're going to be telling me about in a couple of months.
Like, he didn't even have a bullet in the chamber. What kind of hunter is this guy?
It says the movie is part of the Twisted Childhood universe, an interconnected franchise which kicked off in 2023. Winnie the Pooh, like I said, Blood and Honey, and its 2024 sequel. It looks so stupid.
Oh, see, like,
yeah, and Bambi's like massive. It looks like that moose, except the other way around that we looked at last week, where the moose got hit by the car. He was doing a little damage to the car there.
Was I wrong in thinking Bambi's a female?
I mean, the name would kind of
imply,
right, that it was a female, but I don't remember.
Because that one had horns.
Yeah, it did. Actually.
What a twist!
Yeah, well, it's the new modern version. She's transitioned.
Oh God. I love that. I love it. All right.
Oh man. Anyways, I don't know if you heard this story, and this will probably be the last story we do before we take a break, but this is interesting. This is a retired grandmother who's 71, still owes $108,000 in student debt nearly 40 years after she completed a psychology degree, which is about, obviously, 3 times as much as the amount that she originally took out. She took out $30,000 to finish her psychology degree in 1986, and now she owes $108,000. What's weird about this is she's been paying on it this entire time. Like, wait a minute. Maybe you should have got a math degree, because this doesn't seem to make sense. If you're paying on it, and now you owe 3 times the amount, something's not right here. So my guess is she probably had it, what do they call it, forbearance or something for a time period. It accrued some interest, and then she would make payments on it that were probably smaller than were actually the amount of interest being accrued. But now this woman owes $108,000. She says she fears
it's called reading the fine print.
Something. She fears that the only way she's going to get out of this debt is to die.
That's a poor way of looking at it.
Yeah, this is what she said. I feel terrible for her, but I mean, look.
Yeah, that whole thing.
It is kind of predatory.
Student loan stuff, it's especially during COVID, no one really fully understood. I had a friend that didn't pay anything. And I was like, why aren't you paying anything? He's like, well, they put it on hold. I'm like, that's like the ultimate time to pay.
Yeah.
Because I bet there's some legal restriction on interest. Like they can't accumulate interest, so just pay the principal.
I think it starts or keeps accruing interest that entire time. You just don't have to pay on it for a while time period. I think that's how it works.
During COVID? I have no idea.
I just mean at any period of time. It says her current payment plan allows her to make payments based on how much money she earns, but sometimes the payments are so small they did not cover the interest accrued, which is what I was fearing.
That's wild.
That is nuts, though. $108,000. Ugh. She said she was really embarrassed about it. I'm like, well, you're talking about it now. Perhaps you should have just.
Well, because
Very
you know,
quiet.
it's so strange to me about technology has really given us information at the click of a button. So handling these kind of things is totally different from 40 years ago. Because 40 years ago, she would have to literally write a check
Yeah.
and hope it gets there,
Yeah.
and then hopefully you get a receipt. I don't know how you do it. Because
Just like the hooker, you need to get a receipt.
well, that's your world. That's not my world. Mine's the cockfight. I'm like, how much is it to get in? I need a receipt.
I bet you don't get a receipt at a cockfight.
Oh, I think you just gotta do it. You're just there.
Take AOO to the show, huh?
I'm like, hey, who do I gamble with? Who's the guy that takes my money? But
All right, man. Let's
what's
go
wrong
ahead.
with that? Is that
What?
wrong
What?
of me to have that on my bucket list?
No, I don't think so.
Does it make me an animal,
It is
a monster?
It is a bit.
Like the dog fighting thing would really bother me.
Yeah, that's bad.
But chicken
man.
fighting, I've seen chickens kill a lot of things. So it doesn't
Are you
really-
saying that chickens are less than dogs?
100%? I don't eat dog.
Oh, so is that how you judge?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, interesting. There's a lot of animals you don't eat, but I'm wondering how you would rank those.
Well, I eat a lot of chicken. Yeah.
Okay, I'm saying what it is. So you eat the majority of your meat is chicken.
Yeah.
Thus,
I
they're.
mean, I would watch bullfighting.
Oh no, I wouldn't do that. No,
That's,
no,
I like that because there's a
chance that the bull might win?
Yeah, it's awesome.
No, I wouldn't want to see that. That is nasty. They don't lose often, but when they do, they lose badly.
So that would be a lot of fun, like to get a place up high and just watch the running of the bulls. It's just like, look at these guys.
Yeah. Look at that one. He just got a horn in a place that a horn's not
Yeah,
supposed to go.
That's fun. I like it.
I bet he is not going to get a receipt for that transaction either.
But,
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about an Irish basketball team that refused to finish a game. We'll be right back, onesies. Dick, I think we need to talk about something that's really important.
Is this an intervention?
No, that's next. No, I think we need to talk about sponsoring and donating to the show. It's something that I feel very close to, and I think it's good for you.
I think it's important that we tell our listeners that they can donate and sponsor.
Very, very true.
Yeah.
Do you like dog food?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's good, because without those sponsorships and donations, dog food may be what you're eating.
Okay.
Don't let Dick eat dog food. Like, follow, subscribe, donate.
Yeah.
Today.
Audience of
Audience of one.
one. Audience of one. Show.
At gmail.com.
Yeah. And we're back
Officially.
on the other side of the eclipse here at Audience of One.
We all made it.
Yeah, Andrew didn't like my drink this Kool-Aid.
Yeah, he was really strange once. He was trying to get me to
I
drink this certain elixir that he
had
wouldn't
these
tell me what it
fresh
was.
pair of Nike shoes for him.
It was weird, man.
And I'm like, hey, there's this white tablecloth I need you to put over yourself, and you need to drink this juice.
Yeah, it was very strange. You're really pushy about it too.
Yeah.
But I did it anyway.
But welcome back,
Tasted
Audience
great.
of One. Here,
And these kicks are great. Thanks for the
Lone
shoes.
Star Community Radio. We're here every Wednesday at 10 a.m., part of the morning shows at Lone Star. Don't forget, if you aren't a morning person, you can always follow us on social media, and especially subscribe to the podcast version of the show.
Please do like, subscribe, invite others, whatever you must do to keep this show going in perpetuity, or
I
at
was
least
gonna-
for another week.
I was going to ask you, the March Madness thing, I feel like it died out.
It's not nearly like it was years ago.
'Cause,
That's
like,
for
even
sure, man.
when it got to the final 8,
yeah.
it was exciting. And then, like, when the final 4 got set, I was like, I don't really care.
You know, it's the female college tournament garnered a lot more attention this year with Caitlin Clark. Certainly, doing what she's doing has put a lot more eyeballs on that sport.
Well, yeah, because actually we were watching, like, Sports Center and stuff. It seems like every team had some special person. And they all expected me to know who that special
What-
person was.
What do you mean by special person?
Well, like the Clark girl.
yeah,
She's special to Iowa.
yes,
And then, like, UConn had Paige something.
sure,
They had her. And then
Every team does typically have a star, yes.
Yeah, and I was like, but the way they were saying it, they used first names. And I was like, I don't know who y'all are talking about. Like, that's so crazy to me. They're using first names trying to describe these teams. Like, is there anyone else on that team too? Like, I don't understand the way.
Cher, Madonna.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I heard more about that than the one that's coming up tonight.
Yeah, the men's.
The Purdue and UConn.
Right. Right.
Does that sound exciting to you?
Oh yeah, riveting.
Yeah.
Perdon't. So lame.
I guess.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Anyways, I asked you to bring up a picture that I sent you earlier, and I'm sure that you've done that. And I appreciate it.
Yeah,
it's a
pulled it
story
up.
that I wanted to bring
Yeah.
to the onesie audience. So what you'll see there in the picture on the left is what you would consider a typical or a normal
Like crosswalk.
pedestrian crossing
Yeah.
sign, right? And the one on the right is a picture that I took of one in my neighborhood. Yes, there is a tire strangely behind
I
it.
didn't even, you can't. No one can see that because they see you. But yeah, behind
Okay, yeah,
Andrew
it's
is a
so
tire.
weird.
It's kind of random.
Yeah, it is kind of random. Now, the reason I bring this up is because I was talking with a neighbor the other day, and they were expressing some concern about how people do not allow her to cross the street when she's walking her dogs. That she'll be waiting to cross, and she said it's very frustrating because no one stops. And I thought to myself, well, they don't have to stop, right? I mean, they have to stop if you're crossing, but if you're waiting to cross, they don't have to stop, do they? And so I went and I looked at this sign, and obviously there's a lot more going on the sign on the right, which if you're not on YouTube or Facebook, it's got the normal pedestrian crossing at the top. Then it has a huge arrow underneath it. Then it has the words state law. Then it says yield to with another pedestrian sign. And then it says within crosswalk. So there is a lot more going on. But I interpret this the same way as I would interpret the one on the left. Like, to me, it doesn't mean anything different. This one just has a lot more going on. Do you interpret these signs the same, to mean the same thing, or do you interpret them differently?
I mean, when I see someone crossing the street, I try not to hit them.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Regardless of a sign.
Right. This is true. This is true.
What that sign tells me is someone's gotten sued at that specific crosswalk,
Yeah.
and both lawyers were trying to sue the city because there wasn't enough information considering where are the guidelines of crossing the street. If they're not within this crosswalk, then they're the ones technically
Yeah.
jaywalking, so they can't sue my client. And then the yield is probably something to do with it. You can't classify as a stop sign, but yield is like the one that, like, yielding is the next definition of like, hey, stop.
Well, except it yield.
But it's not a stop sign because it's probably some technicality where, like, if
Yeah,
there's-
it just, to me, like, again, I thought these signs mean the same thing. So I decided to crowdsource this. I put this on our Facebook page and posted to I Love Conroe. And of course, I get the typical, you're an idiot. You know what this means? It means the first thing you learn on day one of driving class, you moron, that kind of stuff. I got a few of those. But then I did get a few real
why didn't you-
responses.
can you print those out next time and I'll read them out loud?
You could find them.
I want to pretend to be the
You can
Conroe
find 'em.
folks.
And anyways, there were a few people that actually answered legitimately, and some of them just said, no, you just yield if they're crossing. And then others said, no, you need to stop if they're waiting to cross. So apparently there is some sort of...
Well, yielding, from what I understand, it is the action of, like, for example, right in front of the bowling alley from Fraser, the right-hand turn is yielding to people turning left. Mm-hmm. And I think that's because a lot of people who are turning left are going straight into the gas station, so they didn't want people who are turning right just have a little collision right there because there's literally 5 feet to turn right.
But if I'm standing on the side of the road...
no one reads that. No one yields.
Yeah, right.
And so, like, every time I'm turning left to go, I'm like...
They're too busy lighting a smoke as they came out of the convenience store.
No, it's not the convenience. It's off. I'll show it to you the next time we go
I
there.
thought you said out of the convenience store.
No,
But-
it's coming off Fraser, so both
okay,
ways. And
okay.
if you're turning right onto Dallas Street or onto Wilson, there's a yield.
I thought there was a convenience store right there.
There
though.
is.
That's what okay.
But
yeah.
you're turning right, and they never
They
yield.
just redid that intersection
Yeah.
not too long ago, yeah.
They never yield, though. So it's like, I can't get to the bowling alley unless I want to get in a wreck.
Yeah. Well, like, to me, if I'm waiting to cross, and I've crossed the street many a time on the side of the road, I'm not expecting someone to stop. Now, every now and again, someone will. I'm like, oh, thanks, and I'll cross. But to me, the sign does not mean that people have to stop if I'm waiting to cross. But my neighbor did not seem to think so. And so I still have not gotten
it's
my
also
final
courtesy.
answer.
It's a courtesy thing.
Yeah.
And the yield to me tells drivers you are second when it comes to people crossing. So like you got to stop.
I mean, within to me means within. And are you technically within the crosswalk if you're on the side of the road? To me, no.
Well, see, the one on the left tells me, oh, by chance people are walking over here. That doesn't mean you have to stop. It just says, like, just so you know, this is a place where people...
just be aware there are people going to be crossing here or could potentially be crossing here. So, I don't know, man. I never got my answer.
I don't know why you're so confused about this.
I'm not. I thought they meant essentially the same thing, but when my neighbor expressed concern, I said, well, maybe I'm not interpreting this correctly. And as I crowdsourced it again, there were people who had multiple opinions on this. But this reminded me of one of my favorite podcasts from about 10 years ago.
Okay.
And this was the Freakonomics podcast. Did you ever listen to Freakonomics?
Yeah.
I loved them. I had their books, everything else. Well, there was
did it make you feel strong when you listened to Smart?
No, I was entertained.
Is it because they had something about prostitution? That's what interested you?
They probably did at some point.
Because I know clearly that's what's going on with you right now. And, you know, maybe I need to say something to your family. Like, he's going to Vegas. You know what he's going to do first thing? He's going to be looking for pieces He's looking for pieces of paper on the ground.
To call.
Yeah.
Well, this is interesting, but it's a 2014 Freakonomics podcast where they discuss the perfect crime. Okay, and I think you know exactly where I'm going. And this is to run people over with your car while they are crossing the street. So I went back and I listened to this podcast again, and I took some notes because it is pretty fascinating. I remember it being one of my favorite episodes, and it did not disappoint. But it says they cite a statistic from 2012 where in New York there was approximately 1,300 fatal incidents with people getting hit by a car. But only around 60 of those 1,300 drivers were ever arrested. And only about 5% of the people who kill a pedestrian with a car actually get arrested or punished for doing so. And basically, it's because vehicular manslaughter is not punished very harshly unless there is evidence of other impairment, like DWI or reckless endangerment or something like that. Basically, they say that you have to have the rule of two, meaning there has to be more than one traffic law being broken in order to bring a charge. Like I said, like reckless driving, et cetera. Otherwise, it's just simply seen as an accident.
I believe
so in theory, if you were to try and get away with murder, they're saying running somebody over with your car is probably the best way to get away with it.
Yeah, but then when they connect the dots of like, oh, that's your mother-in-law that you murdered, it's probably did on purpose.
Is there something you want to tell me now?
No, that's a good question to ask, because who's the number one person that everyone wants to murder? It's got to be a family member,
I don't
want
to kill anybody.
Well, you know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
It's always like, oh, there's a high percentage chance it's someone they know, and it's a higher percentage if it's someone in their family.
Okay. Yeah, you're probably right. Murder. You're probably right. But if what if you're just bloodthirsty and you want to do it? This is the way to do it, right? They used an example also of shooting a gun into the air of a crowd, right? It says, however, you aren't intending to harm anyone. Let's just say you're firing a gun up in the crowd. Woohoo, yay, this is fun. It says the action of shooting a gun is seen as reckless enough to warrant a charge. So if you were to do that, you're probably going to have charges.
Regardless if it hurts somebody.
Yeah, probably. But in this case, if it does kill somebody, you're probably going to have charges. But for whatever reason, hitting somebody with a car isn't seen nearly as reckless, again, unless you have more than one kind of incident. And this kind of also goes back to what we were talking about last week with the guy who was walking across America to gain awareness about walkability in cities. This is kind of what he's talking about, right? That it's dangerous to walk in cities. And as cities began to grow and the automobile became the more dominant mode of transportation, the idea behind city designers and planners was to make the road as car-friendly as possible, which means as straight and as wide as possible, right? Because that's the best for a car, but it ain't the best for a pedestrian or a bicyclist, which, if you think about it, is why you brought up the fact that they had all those curves in the road in Austin for the bicycle paths. It's specifically for that, so that the cars don't speed up and they have to slow down and pay attention. So there you go, Dick. Now you know the perfect crime.
All right.
Yes, you should do yourself a favor and go back to and listen to some of those old Freakonomics.
They're all full of it.
You think?
Oh, yeah.
They definitely had that NPR kind of cadence to them.
They're all full of it.
trying to remember the guy's name. Dubner, something Dubner. I don't remember the other one's name. But I was
But
really
yeah, they're
into it.
fun.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun
It's a
listening
great
to
show.
Yeah.
Especially the topics are all. It's like a variety of topics, so they don't just do one thing, but they always do it with numbers.
Well, they always talk about that human beings are incentivized by things, right? That we're motivated by incentives. And so if you're incentivized, if you think about it this way, to not get punished by running somebody over with your car, are you then thus incentivizing people to do it, right? The fact that there's not a lot of people who get in trouble for
yeah.
it, are you then incentivizing people to do it?
Well, I think isn't that the argument about the marijuana stuff?
What's that?
Where like on certain states, like cities, like especially in Houston, it's like there's a certain amount of marijuana you can have on yourself now in Houston
Really?
or in Harris County. Like
Tell me more.
that's what I'm saying. Is that incentivizing people to smoke?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
So it's like, oh, I'm gonna smoke and drive
Yeah, here I wrote down one other.
because they do
fact
that
here.
with alcohol with the breathalyzer. It's like 0.08, but 0.08 is like a beer.
Yeah, just a little bit, just a
Yeah.
teaser.
So it's like they knew what they were doing when they made that law. Where it's like, here's the foundation of how we can get you in trouble. You can just drink half a beer and then you're
It's
already
okay, but not anymore.
Yeah.
Not any more than that. Interesting fact: in the United States, 14% of all deaths are pedestrian related. Not all deaths, all automobile related deaths are pedestrian related. But in New York City, it's 52%. Now, certainly some of that is the fact that there's a lot of people walking, and it's a very congested city. But again, that gets me back to my idea of, the punishment around vehicular homicide is so lax that it makes you wonder if they are indeed incentivizing people. And just give it the gas. No one will know.
fair enough.
Thank you. That is my perfect. We need some like true crime music or something
Fair
along
enough.
those lines.
Fair enough.
Staying on this theme
I
of
thought you were gonna go. I thought you were
crime.
gonna go another direction with the perfect crime.
Oh yeah, what direction did you think I was going to go with?
Well,
Chicken fighting?
Yeah, man. I mean, I get the running over could be considered a crime, but it's an accident.
It's an accident. See?
So I thought you were actually gonna talk about a crime, like
Well, murder.
yeah.
If your intent is to kill somebody, that is a crime. However, proving it is difficult.
Yeah, but it's like saying I'm a guy who welds the tower and I forget to weld this angle right, and 10 years later it breaks, and like everybody on the top floor dies. Like they're not going to call me a murderer.
Involuntary murder.
You think so?
No, I don't know, man. You're getting in over my skis here.
Okay.
Did you hear about the police robot in Massachusetts that was shot during a standoff? This is pretty interesting. It's one of those Boston Dynamic dogs. We're going to stay on this theme of crime
I
for a
like
little
it.
bit. Yeah, I've seen those dogs before, and I'm less than impressed with them. But I think it is kind of interesting, and it's probably something that's going to be used a little bit more often as these things become more, I guess, prevalent, I suppose. But they put these things into situations that are highly dangerous, such as a standoff. And it says that
I like it.
Yeah. But this guy apparently was going up his stairs.
I would watch robot dogs fight.
Yeah. Wait, wasn't there a movie about that where they fought robots?
Well, those were actually like boxers.
Yeah. What was the name
Hugh
of that?
Jackman.
Yeah.
It's called like Real Steel.
Yeah, I think it
Think so.
was. Yeah.
But yeah, if you made animatronic dogs, I'd watch that.
Yeah, I guess I'd watch robots fight. I don't care about robots.
What
It
about
says-
robot dogs? How about robot babies?
Oh.
Like,
why
hey,
you got to make him a baby?
well, I'm saying let's get taboo here. Well, like what would
How about micro robots?
I didn't watch that.
I know, dang. We talked all about it last
It was
week.
great.
Little robots. Would you watch little robots fight?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I wonder what kind of line you're going to draw there. It's like,
That's
Oh.
true. These don't really look like dogs, although they call
No.
them dog. But this thing was known. His name was Roscoe.
well, there's your problem. You gave the robot a name.
Yeah. What I think is funny, there were a couple of things in this story that I thought were really funny. Apparently, this guy locked himself up in his building, and they cleared the couple of floors, but they couldn't get this guy to come out. He was. This is funny. He says he knocked the robot dog down when they were going up the stairs, but when Roscoe righted himself and started following up the stairs, he knocked the dog over again. So I'm picturing this robot getting back up. Damn it.
And you have that one. You got that one officer's like, this thing's useless. This thing's useless.
He said, well, this is not working. So then he put 3 shots into the guy, and the pilot lost communication with the dog. I like this. It says it was struck in the body and the, quote, neck. I don't know why I find this funny. Shooting robots is funny. I don't like robots, so this is why I think I find this funny.
I think it's great. I think there's got to be more stories to this.
Oh, I don't know. There was something up in North Texas years ago where they used like one of these robots to go in and defuse a bomb that had been placed in like a bank or something. That was pretty revolutionary.
Well, I meant more of like the drone stuff, because you hear about people shooting down drones all the time.
Yeah.
And so, because some of those police drones are $25,000.
Yeah, and we've talked about this, right? And they're actually regulated by the FAA, and if you shoot it down, it's seen as like a federal crime, I think, especially if it's a police.
Not murder, though.
Yeah, well, you're murdering the the little helicopter.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I think. Would you like to have one of these dogs as a pet, Roscoe? Would you like a
100%.
Roscoe?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. You send him in here to the studio.
Yeah, like what I would do though is I would have a lot of fun with people who were like, "What is this? Like, why aren't you petting Roscoe?
So awkward.
What did Roscoe
Pet
do
him.
to you?
Pet him.
Pet him."
He's like that real digitized bark. He's so creepy.
Yeah, it's gonna be. No, I wouldn't like. I would program the voice for Roscoe to be like a 70-year-old woman smoker, and she has that throat thing. It's like, I am Roscoe. That'd be great.
Like a stoma dog.
You remember? Oh, you weren't there at the bowling alley. That lady had that. That was awesome. I loved it when she was bowling against us because we talking trash, and she had to like push in her throat to talk.
Yeah, what's that called?
I don't know, but
forget.
it's awesome. And I knew her because she worked
called a stoma?
She worked at Kroger. She's a sweet woman, and every time I see her,
So sad.
and no, I was just different because you'd be sitting there talking trash to her, and then like it would take her a second to talk because she had to clear her throat and do stuff, and I'm like, it's a little too late for that.
The punchline was minutes
Yeah,
ago.
punchline. Come on now.
Come on, be
She's a
nice.
sweet. No, I did. I said she's a sweet woman, and I saw her all the time.
It doesn't
at Kroger.
absolve you from. Okay, I called her sweet. Now I can slam her.
Hey, we're all equal. Okay.
Would you like some local Navasota news? By the way,
Sure.
Let's stay on this
Is
again
this Kyle?
theme of Kyle.
The city of Kyle doing Kyle's.
Oh no, poor Kyle. They didn't actually make.
Weren't
their,
even close.
No, they were like
Losers.
800 short or something. I forget. A mother of 5 in Texas recently found herself in hot water after learning that she could go to jail over library books that her county claimed were never returned. Jail, bruh.
Oh,
Jail. Kylie Morgan took out books about
Kylie.
Vincent Van Gogh. You know, is that like a red flag name for you or
I
something?
don't know. It's similar to Kyle.
Oh, yeah, you're right. And I think we had this conversation,
Yeah.
whether or not Kylie's would work or if it has to be specifically Kyle. Huh. It all comes back around to
Yeah.
Kyle, doesn't it?
Yeah.
She took out books about Vincent Van Gogh from the Navasota Public Library in Grimes County in March of 2023. It's crazy. Like, they slapped her with a bill of $569.50. She said she didn't have it. And then they said, fine. And what's weird about this is she didn't even know that she had this warrant out until she went to the DMV.
Most people do not know they have a warrant out.
Well, unless you get something in the mail, right? Isn't that typically how those are?
Oh, is that what that is? I have.
Yeah, you need to check your mail and your jury summons that you completely ignore half the time, too.
Oh no,
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of living with somebody, right?
Uh-huh.
That you find out 3 years later, like, oh, I forgot to give this to you.
I don't even know what you're talking
That's
about.
why I got my jury summons.
No, you just don't check your mail.
I don't.
You've probably got several warrants and probably several jury summons in there.
Yeah. Well, no, I've gotten pulled over recently, so I don't have any warrants.
Well, she went to go back and renew her driver's license, and they were like, sorry, ma'am. Looks like you have a warrant out for your arrest, and that's how she found out about it. And I think the value of the books were like $100. She said she'd pay for it, but they said,
So, do you think the guy at the DMV looks at her and goes, I'm going to give you 10 seconds. You got to get out of here.
her picture's up on the wall. Book thief.
Oh,
Book thief. Trillions of cicadas will emerge across the United States.
This is over?
Yeah, man. There was
What
nothing
happened to
it.
the book?
She's in jail now, man.
Legit.
Yeah, man. No, I don't know.
Because there's a sweet picture of her on the
There is a
link.
sweet picture. That's the whole thing. Is she's trying to play the angle of, I'm a mother of 3 or 4, whatever, blah blah blah. I would never do this. I'm not a criminal. And they're like, yeah, put her in jail.
But, I mean,
I like how
what happened to the book?
I don't know. Actually, yeah, she returned two of the three, but the third one, I guess she can't find it. I guess.
Okay, so she did check these books out.
Oh yeah, she actually legitimately
she
checked
deserves
the books
to
out.
go to jail.
That's what I'm saying. Cuff and stuff.
100%. Take the baby away. I mean, you can't have parents like that raising babies.
You really can't. You can't.
Can't. I mean, she can't remember to return library books. Imagine what she's forgetting to do for her daughter.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
Especially if she has diabetes.
You're
Forgets
getting
to
really,
give injections, man. That's lethal.
You're getting way out there. Don't have to worry about it. She's in jail now. Trillions of cicadas will emerge across several United States.
Maybe that's the long con, Andrew. She wanted
the
to
long
go to
game.
jail.
Yeah, there
she
you
wanted
go.
to go to, I gotta get away from this kid, but I don't want to be seen as a bad mom. If I go to jail for books, people will be sympathized. But oh no, I still have to be in jail. It's not like I murdered somebody.
That was the long game. That is not the perfect crime. I'm going to try this.
It is if you want to stay in jail.
I'm going to try this for a third time.
No, I'm not gonna let it happen.
You'll like this one, though. Trillions of cicadas will emerge across several United States in the spring.
We talked about this
in an
a lot.
event dubbed Cicada-geddon. I
Yeah.
think we need to get better names. And Cicada-geddon doesn't sound very good, but
People probably don't even know what a cicada is.
it's those green-looking weird
I know, but
bugs that
we
make all the loud
like,
noises.
Go out there and be like, hey, we got cicada. Was it
Cicada.
cicada Armageddon coming?
Yeah,
They're like, what are you
cicada-geddon.
talking about?
Cicada-geddon. Not only are more cicadas than usual expected, but some of them will be, quote, zombie cicadas that are affected by a sexually transmitted fungus that makes them hypersexual. Dick, I think you can identify with these cicadas. This is interesting, man.
You mean like when I look at myself in the mirror in the morning?
You get hypersexual.
Yeah.
Periodical cicadas spend most of their lives underground and emerge after 13 to 17 years. It says this year there are going to be two different broods of cicadas will emerge. Brood, I don't know, that's XIX. What is that? Is that like 19 or something?
I'm just checking out the insects.
I don't know.
I'm off not listening to you.
Oh, just like a normal show.
Yeah. I just wanted to see some pictures of cicadas. I'm
They're
like,
pretty wicked.
they're wicked.
Yeah,
dude.
they're wicked looking. But basically, these
They're
cicadas.
big.
Yeah, they are.
Whoa, that's awesome. Where's this happening? All over Texas?
Yeah, all over the United States. In some places, they're going to have more than others. Illinois is where it's expected to be the worst.
Oh, they
Georgia,
fly?
Southeast. Oh yeah, they fly.
Oh man, is that what the eclipse was?
That's what they're equating this.
Billions of cicadas
They just
blocking the sun.
blocking the sun. That's exactly right.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay, cool.
Well, basically, they're calling these cicadas hypersexual because they are infected with this kind of bacteria that basically forms like this white substance all over them, and then they want to get it on. So it's like a double pandemic here.
Yeah, it's like every 17 years,
Yeah.
the largest brood makes its appearance.
I wish I could pronounce some of these scientific things. Basically, it's these spores that are produced in the.
I like it.
Yeah, man, and
Do you
it's
think humans have that? We just haven't discovered it yet.
hypersexual.
Well, no, I mean, like, it makes sense for every 17 years they go through this thing. So, like, maybe humankind has one for, like, every 10,000 years.
Possibly.
Because I feel like every day someone's telling me we're losing population. We're not gaining population.
No, we're slowly growing.
Oh, I just thought it was the opposite.
No, we're slowly growing, bud.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it says it's suspected that these cicadas are infected when they are waiting underground or when they are born, dig themselves into the soil, coming in contact with the fungus and spores that again make them hypersexual.
Yeah.
So I guess they're going to be getting it on.
Yeah, every 17 years.
You need to get your phone out and record this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you can go to Las Vegas and
Right.
Find a
What
show.
are the numbers for these things?
That's silly, dude.
Yeah. All right. This was the story that I teased, and I didn't forget it this time. So proud of
I
myself.
already forgot it.
You don't remember what I
I'm
teased?
just kidding. It's the Irish one.
Yeah, man.
I know.
This is kind of interesting, but it's an Irish basketball team says that it won't replay the final 0.3 seconds of a playoff quarterfinal after it ended in controversial fashion, despite being instructed to by Basketball Ireland. That sounds like such an official.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. This is the Limerick Sports Eagles beat the Portaloes Panthers 80-79 on March 23rd, but yet to play their semifinal due to confusion over the validity of their
this. I
quarterfinal
remember seeing
win.
this.
Yeah, man. What did you see about it?
I saw that they showed the foul that caused the clock, but the clock, it was too late. Like he released. Oh no, I'm talking about a different video. Never mind.
This is where the moose gets hit. What?
Have you seen that video? No, I'm just kidding. I know there's a video of a basketball team. I thought it was in Europe. Was the guy shot it before the shot clock went off, but the ref said the shot clock did go off, so you don't get the 2 points. And then someone had like it on video, and it's like, look, you can literally see him next to the shot clock, and he shoots it way before the shot clock.
No, I think that is a different
video.
But
like there was a fight.
Different
there was
game.
like a big old.
Doesn't mention a fight here. It says after the second tier game had finished. Why do they call it a second tier game? That's so wrong. The Panthers argued that the 2 free throws, which subsequently won Limerick the game, should not have stood because they were awarded after the game ended. It sounded like there was a foul that was committed right at the end, and he takes 2 shots, right?
Yeah.
Wins, blah, blah, blah. It says it supported their claim that the foul came with 1.6 seconds after the final buzzer. I mean, you would think you'd be able to figure that out. 1.6 seconds in sports is kind of like an eternity. After days of confusion, the teams were eventually told to replay the 0.3 seconds of the game. But on Wednesday, the Panthers said they would refuse to do it because it was, quote, completely against the spirit of basketball, before wishing Limerick well in the next round. That's because they won. Actually, no, the Eagles won. So this is the losing team said, no, we ain't coming back. Screw it. I would think, hey, man, gives us one last shot. Be awesome to come back 0.3 seconds. I've seen some crazy things happen. I never give up.
Okay, good.
Never give up.
I like the struggle.
The struggle is real, bruh. The struggle is real. Yeah, but I don't know. I think if I'm the losing team, I would want to come back, and the winning team should be like, no, game over, game over. It's just the opposite.
Like you said, second tier.
Yeah, I don't know why they had to call that out second tier. Seems kind of rude to me.
Probably because it didn't mean anything to those guys. It's probably a Sunday league.
No, I don't know. I don't know what. No, I mean, looks like they're going for a medal of some sort. It doesn't really say what league or level they are, but
that's what second tier means.
Yeah, right.
In Europe, no, it's the first tier is usually, like in England soccer, that's like the Premier League is first tier, second tier is championship, third tier is second. I think they literally call it second championship. But it's like a tier.
Europeans. Whatever. All right, last story is the quick hit here at the end of the show. Were you aware that in 1996, Shaquille O'Neal threw out his Olympic gold medal outside of the car window after winning gold? It's kind of crazy. So this story apparently just came out on his podcast last week, where he says he was so mad after only playing the final 2 minutes of the game at the Atlanta Olympics. When he was driving home, he rolls down the window and threw the thing out the window. So right now there is a gold medal that is Shaquille O'Neal's, probably sitting somewhere on in Atlanta, on Atlanta roadside somewhere. He just said, I ain't doing it.
Okay.
I never heard that, man. Kind of. Don't you think he had a little bit of regret on that afterwards? He says says he doesn't.
I think he's won a couple gold medals. So.
He has not. This was his one and
Really?
only Olympic appearance. He was not on the '92 Dream Team.
Well, he was too young.
No. He was. I think that was his rookie year. And there was one college guy, if you remember, Christian Laettner.
I think there had to be.
I think we just did it as a token, just to say, all right, we're gonna put pros on the team, but we'll put one college guy.
Now
on
imagine being that guy.
Christian Laettner.
Yeah, imagine being that guy. Do you think he threw his medal away?
I doubt it. He probably wears that thing everywhere.
Well, it'd be kind of cool to tell people he played basketball with Michael Jordan
Oh yeah, absolutely.
and Larry Bird.
He was on there too.
Like that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
And Magic Johnson.
Yep, it says it's somewhere out on the side of I-75 in Atlanta. So I say we get in one of our toy cars, go down there and look for it, and also set a world record in doing so. Awesome, man. That is all we have got time for this week. It was fun.
Fair enough, man. It was good to see you.
Yeah, it was good seeing you too, buddy.
And don't forget, folks, we are a nonprofit, so if you want to sponsor, donate,
Sponsor and donate.
IRLoneStar.com/or you can email us at any time at audienceofoneshow@gmail.com.
The one you had last week was off the chart. I'm like, no one knows what you're even saying.
I'm just crushing berries. All right. We'll see you guys later, onesies.
Next week, guys.